Hello YouTube, I'm Jonah, and today I'll be replacing the thermostat on my 2013 Town & Country. So this is my 2013 Town & Country 3.6 liter VVT, variable valve timing, V6. And today I'm going to replace my thermostat due to a code P0128. And here's a closer look of our thermostat that we have to remove. First thing we have to remove is this power steering reservoir. That's got to go. We also have to remove this air box to give ourselves more room. Got all my lights, all my setup here, got some good lighting. Alright, let's get started. I see my bolt is a little bit rusty, so I'm going to use a little bit of liquid wrench to help me out. I'm going to need a 13mm socket to remove that bolt. And just to let you know, if you enjoy my video and find it interesting, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you always get my latest video. And I always put my nut back so I know I won't lose it. Nobody likes to lose their nuts. Then I'll tie a little bungee cord to my power steering reservoir and put it off to the side. And I've got 3 clips to remove my cover for my air box. And just keep an eye on the back of the air box. There's 3 slots and 3 tabs. It slips off very easily. And before I remove my top cover, I have to do 2 things. Loosen this hose clamp and remove this intake tube. Then I'll use an 8mm socket to loosen this large hose clamp. Oops, did you see that? Now I can pull out my cover. I accidentally dropped my socket. Thank goodness for telescopic magnets. Then I'll put a cardboard underneath just to catch any extra spills from the coolant. Then I put a container to catch all my coolant. I remove my filter. And before I remove my bottom part of the air box, there's something else I gotta do. So I have a Christmas tree fastener that still has to be removed. Right here. Here's a closer look at that fastener right here. I take a nail puller to loosen the fastener. Then my needle nose pliers to pull it out. Then I'll have no problem pulling out the bottom part of my air box nice and slow. So just notice there's 2 spots right here and another one right down here. That's where the bottom air box sits on snugly. And here's a closer look at the bottom part of the air box. Now let's get a closer look. Here's our upper coolant line with its hose clamp, and it leads us to our thermostat right here. And notice the black bleeder valve on top of the thermostat. Remember that, because we'll be doing something to that later on. Here's a closer look of the first bolt on the top part of the thermostat, right here. And here's a closer look at the second bolt at the bottom of the thermostat, right here. Put some cardboard in there just to deflect all the coolant that's going to go in, and they're going to deflect. They're going to tuck it underneath the thermostat. So, of course, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I just want less of a mess. And here's a closer look of the cardboard tucked underneath the thermostat and the hose. So now I remove my radiator cap by pushing down and twisting to the left. Now I'll use a 10mm socket to remove both those bolts. First, I'll remove the first upper bolt. Rotate to the left, lefty-loosey. Here we go, nice and slow, don't drop the bolt. And first one down, one more to go. Now, removing the second bolt is a little bit trickier and you're going to have to go by feel. Just be patient and go slow. Wear your blue latex gloves because it has better grips. You don't want to drop that socket and your bolt. Rotate to the left, lefty-loosey. And here you go. There's a second bolt right now. Now just slowly pull out the thermostat and let the coolant drain to the bucket. And now I attempt to move that clamp hose, but to no avail. So I tried a few times, but I just could not move that clamp hose or loosen it enough. So instead of getting too frustrated, I ran to the nearest Princess Auto and bought myself a nice pliers. Nice hose clamp pliers. Hopefully I can use this a few more times for another DIY project, but I'm sure I will. But I definitely suggest buying one. So I open up the clamp and lock it in place. So here's a trick I use so I know exactly the spot between the rubber hose and the thermostat. I put a white marker between the rubber hose and the thermostat, and I don't have to second guess the exact position when I install the new thermostat. And I take my puller and just loosen up the little bit, the lip on the rubber, because it's still quite tight. So I had to be patient and a little bit of extra muscle. I twisted it and rocked it side to side. But still having such a problem, I thought maybe the temperature was really cold outside and the hose was cold and stiff. So I took my hairdryer and warmed up the rubber a little bit. Oh, don't make fun of the color of my hairdryer. I like it. And finally, that did the trick.
Yes. Alright, take a look at this. I marked off my white marker here. There's also the where it's going to be flushed. Don't forget I had to take this gasket out.
And sometimes the O-ring gets stuck in there, so don't forget to take it out. If you double gasket it, it's going to leak. Then clean out the area well. And here's my new thermostat right here.
I bought it at the local Chrysler dealership. Genuine Mopar parts. Okay. So.
And just to show you a comparison, the left one is the old thermostat and the one on the right is the brand new thermostat.
Okay. So now I'm going to go here. Go here. Okay. Now I'm going to mark off like with a white marker. I'm going to put a marker right here. Marker. I'm also going to put a marker right here. That's where it's going to meet the other.
Yes, when the two markers meet each other, we know that's the exact spot where the hose is flush with the thermostat.
Alright, now let's put this inside the hose together. Okay, let's see if you can see where the white matches the white I marked over there. Okay, let's do this.
And before I do that, I lubricate the mouth of the thermostat with some coolant. And it goes in a little bit smoother than pulling it out.
Okay, now it's flushed. Here's the flushed. Okay, we're good. Now guys, unclamp. There we go.
And I'll just take a second and double check, make sure everything looks good.
That's good. It's unclamped in. We're good here. We're good there. Yes, baby. Okay, at this point I'm going to take out my cardboard. Just taking out my cardboard. Don't need this anymore. That's good. It protected most of it. Not 100%, but it protected most of it anyways.
Then I'll rub a little bit of coolant to the new rubber O-ring. Gives it a better seal. Then I put my bolt in, and I always hand start it first.
Okay, I'm going to put a second one. I'm going to put it right underneath, below here.
You have to do it by feel again.
Find a spot on there. Make sure you don't drop it.
Then I'll use my socket to run it all the way down by hand. When you finally run it down with a wrench, do not over tighten. The thermostat is only plastic. Nice and snug. Only about 9 pounds of pressure. Okay, the hardest part is done. And it's time to put the antifreeze in. 50/50 orange. And I also bought it at the Chrysler dealership. And I keep filling up the radiator and let the air bubbles burp out. And while the rad is burping out air, I go to the thermostat bleeder valve and just slightly loosen it with a screwdriver by turning it left. Just want to make sure there's no more air trapped inside. And you may see some air bubbles. And when you see only coolant coming out and no more air bubbles, you can close it. I keep filling up the radiator until there's no more air bubbles. But now I'll just keep the radiator cap open until we start the engine. And to make sure the coolant reservoir is filled up to the max line. Then we'll just put everything back. And just rewind the video if you forgot some of the steps. So back inside the van, I'm going to turn the heater and the blower on full blast before we start it up. Now let's start the car. So I'll add more coolant as it goes through the system. Then I'll check the hoses before I close the radiator cap. Don't keep the rad open too long. It will heat up, expand, and overflow. Then finally close the radiator. And I let it run for about 15-20 minutes and watch the temperature rise to the center, the middle of the gauge. And I'll check for leaks underneath. Looks all good. And I look for leaks around the thermostat area. Looks all good. Yes, thumbs up. And we'll take it for a test drive. Looks all good. So if you liked my video and found it helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you always get my latest video. Thanks for watching.